Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Applied Economics. We are now at our seventh week, and for week seven, our topic is elasticity and of demand and supply. So, for this week, we will define elasticity and also differentiate the degrees of elasticity, and as well as to we will apply the two methods in computing elasticity in real life situation. So let's proceed to our topic. So we have here elasticity. So let's define elasticity. And elasticity is the degree of responsiveness when there are changes in the demand and supply. So we have different degree of elasticity. We have elastic, inelastic, and unitary. So for elastic, um, the degree of elasticity for elastic, it is when there is a greater change in quantity demanded or supply. So the demand or supply is elastic. So in mathematical equation, it is always greater than 1. Also, perfectly elastic demand or supply occurs when there is infinite change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied. So if there is a greater change, the degree of elasticity is elastic. For inelastic, when there is a lesser change in quantity demanded or supply, therefore the demand or supply is inelastic. So in mathematical equation, it is always less than 1, and perfectly inelastic demand or supply occurs when there is almost no change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied because there is no close substitute for the product. So once again, for elastic, there is a greater change. Meanwhile, in elastic, there is a lesser change. So how about in unitary? So demand or supply is unitary when there is an equal change in quantity demanded or supply. So therefore, in mathematical equation, it is equal to 1 only. So once again, these are the different degrees of elasticity. We have elastic, inelastic, and unitary. So for elasticity, we have types of it. So the types of elasticity, we have price elasticity, we have income elasticity also. So let's first discuss price elasticity. So price elasticity refers to the type of elasticity that deals with the degree of responsiveness of people when there are changes in prices. So let's have here an example. So when there is a change in price, whether increase or decrease, people reacted in the situation by buying or selling less, or also buying or selling more, or not buying or selling at all. So the concept of responsiveness is presented in terms of percentage change, choosing 2 points on the demand or supply curve and comparing the 2 points compute its value. So we have here our equation. So elasticity price is equals to the quantity supplied or the quantity demand over the percentage change. So another type of elasticity is the income elasticity. And income elasticity refers to the type of elasticity that deals with the degree of responsiveness of people when there are changes in income. So we have here an example. Example, when one De la Cruz has increased in his salary, his consumption will differ in buying more goods than resulted to an increase in his purchasing power. So it expresses the percentage change in demand and supply compared to a percentage change in income. So we have here the coefficients of income elasticity may have a positive or negative sign, and positive sign for normal goods when there is an increase in income, and negative sign for inferior goods when income falls. And eventually, income elasticity of demand measures the relationship between a change in quantity demanded for good and a change in real income. So the formula for calculating income elasticity is the change of the percentage change in demand divided by the percentage change in income. So this is the equation for calculating the income elasticity. Also, we also have types of good affected by income elasticity. So we have the normal goods, the luxury goods, and the inferior goods. For normal goods have a positive income elasticity of demand, so as consumers. And if income rises, more is demanded at each price. There is an outward shift of the demand curve as well. And for this one, normal necessities have an income elasticity of demand of between 0 and +1. So let's have an example. If income increases by 10% and the demand for the fresh fruit increases by 4%, then the income elasticity is positive 0.4 or plus 0.4. So the demand, therefore, the demand is rising less than proportionately to the income. Another type of goods affected by income elasticity is luxury goods. So for this one, luxury goods and services have an income elasticity of um, less than +1 or +1, and if the demand rises more than proportionate to a change in income, for example, an 8% increase in income might lead to a 10% rise in the demand for new appliances. So therefore, the income elasticity of demand in this example is positive 1.25 or plus 1.25. And the last type of good affected by income elasticity is inferior goods. And for this one, inferior goods have a negative income elasticity of demand, meaning that demand falls as income rises. So typically, inferior goods or services exist where superior goods are available if the consumer has money to buy it. So we have here some examples of inferior goods. We have galunggong, tuyo. For superior goods, we have lapu-lapu. This is a type of fish. And we have here another type, carinderia is an inferior good, meanwhile superior good is restaurant. So we also have to discuss income elasticity and the pattern of consumer demand. So as become better off, we can afford to increase our spending on different goods and services. Therefore, the income elasticity of demand will also affect the pattern of demand over time. And for this one, we have for normal luxury goods, income elasticity of demand exists +1 or +1. And so as income rises, the proportion of a consumer's income spent on that product will go up. For normal necessities, so usually income elasticity of demand is positive but less than 1. And for inferior goods, where the income elasticity of demand is negative. So for normal necessities, then as income rises, the share of proportion of their budget on these products will fall. And for the inferior goods, as income rises, demand will decline, and so too will the share of income spent on inferior products. So uh, we have discussed the different degree of elasticity, types of good affected by income elasticity, and the income elasticity and the relationship between the pattern of consumer demand. Now let's discuss cross elasticity. And cross elasticity refers to the type of elasticity that deals with percentage change in demand for one good to good to another, change in the demand for another, like in complementary and substitute goods. So let's have in an example. The price of soft drinks can influence the price of juices or mineral water, which are substitute goods. So that's one example. So the price of hamburger sandwich is a complementary good of soft drinks. So therefore, we can call the first good as our good X and the second good as our good Y. So we have an equation here. So we have here our equation for our good X and our good Y for the quantity of the demand and the supply. So take note of the following. If X and Y are complements and the price of X increases, the quantity demanded for Y decreases. The coefficient of EC will be negative for cross elasticity. If the X and Y are substitute and the price of X increases, the quantity demanded for Y increases, the coefficient of our cross elasticity. So therefore it will become positive. So our next so why do we have to use cross elasticity? So let's think about that. In our previous lesson and study, so price elasticity of demand is a measure of how responsive the quantity demanded for a product is after a change in price. And so sometimes economists also like to know the cross price elasticity of demand, which is how responsive of or elastic the quantity demanded for a good. So in response to a change in the price of another good, so it is measured as the percentage change in demand for the first good that occurs in response to a percentage change in the price of the second good. So to summarize it, it tells us how the price of one good can influence the sales of another good. And also for the we need to use cross elasticity because the formula and the term for that reasoning and logic is known as cross price elasticity of demand. Also, cross price elasticity helps economists figure out things like how likely you are to buy the new gaming system if the price of game goes down by calculating cross price elasticity. So we can measure the responsiveness and determine if the goods are substitutes, complements, or not related to each other. So this information can help business owners and industries figure out how to price certain goods or help them project the sales impact a business may feel from price changes of other products. So from other lessons, we may remember that if two goods are substitute, so for example, chicken and beef, we should expect to see consumers purchase more one of the goods when the price of its substitute increases. So this results in high positive cross-price elasticity. The demand for both goods moves in opposite directions of each other. Also, on the other hand, if the two goods are complements, so for example, peanut butter and jelly, so we could see a price rise in one good causes the demand for both goods to fall. So this results in a negative number or negative cross price elasticity. Likewise, if the price fell for one complement, quantity demanded. So this result in a negative number or negative cross price elasticity. So likewise, if the price fell for one complement, quantity demanded for both goods should increase and the demand for both goods should move in the same direction as well. So yes, formula and the rule thumb. So cross price elasticity of demand is equals to percentage change in quantity demanded for product A and percentage change in price of product B. So this is a simple formula for calculating cross price elasticity of demand. So let's put the formula in action. So assume the following. We have here our product A. Our product A is butter and our product B is margarine. So for product A, our butter has a 10% positive change in quantity demanded, whereas in our product B, which is the margarine, has a positive 5% change or increase in price. So if we enter the numbers into our formula, we could see that 10% divided by 5% is equal to 2. So what does it mean? Let's use the following rules of thumb to help us determine the relationship between the two goods. So we have here, again, if cross price elasticity is less than 0, then the two goods are substitute. But if the cross price elasticity is equals to 0, then the two goods are independent. But if the cross price elasticity is greater than 0, so then the two goods are complements. So for another example that we have from the example, we can see that the answer 2 tells us the butter and margarine are substitute goods for each other. When the price of the margarine went up, more people switched to butter. You can increase the sales of one good by increasing the price of the other. So again, the elasticity computation for economic method, we have the quantity demanded. So again, we have here the quantity demanded and the percentage change. So the percentage change in quantity demanded for product A divided by the percentage change on price of product B. So that is for our statistic method. So another example that we have is the price of sugar is equals to 30 pesos per kilo. It leads to a total sale of 20,000 kilograms a week at Lagro Market. The price then decreased by 2 pesos per kilo. That gives an increase in consumption, having a total sale of 25 kilos per week. So let's try to solve the elasticity. So in your handouts, you may see an example. So you may look on it. So we have again economic method and the statistic method. So these are the methods used to compute and state the degree of elasticity. So this is our economic method and statistic method. So I will show you an example to further explain this lesson that we have.
Solve price elasticity of supply using the formula. So without further ado, let's get started.
Hello again. So, the first thing you need to do is to write the formula. So, the formula of the price elasticity of supply or demand is ED equals percent change in quantity demand over percent change in price. In percent change in demand, there is an inner formula. The Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 plus Q2 divided by 2 times 100. And in percent change in price, P2 minus P1, P1 plus P2 divided by 2 times 100. So, the given of this problem is that Q1 is equals to 100 and Q2 is equals to 200. P1 is equals to 60 while P2 is equals to 50. So now, let's solve the following givens using the inner formulas of percent change in quantity demand and percent change in price. So write the Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 plus Q2 divided by 2 times 100. Then P2 minus P1 over P1 plus P2 divided by 2 times 100. So after that, you have to simplify the given numbers or the given values. 200 minus 100 over 100 plus 200 times 100 divided by 2. Next is you have to subtract the first or the numerator. So 200 minus 100 is equal to 100. 100 plus 200 is equals to 300 divided by 2 times 100. So next is you have to divide the 300 divided by 2. So 100 over, so if you divide 300 divided by 2 is equals to 150. And after that, times it to 100. 100 divided by 150 times 100. So you have to round it off. So the answer is 66.67%. So next, let's find out the price. So the value of P2 is 50 minus 60 over 60 plus 50 divided by 2 times 100. So first subtract the numerator. So 50 minus 60 is equals to negative 10. 60 plus 50 is equals to 110 and divide it by 2 times 100. So negative 10 over 55 times 100. So our price is equal to negative 18.18%. So now let's solve the last part of this problem. So write again the formula. So ED is equals to percent change in quantity demand over percent change in price, equal, then simplify the value. So the value of the quantity demand is 66.67% and in price is negative 18.18%. So you have to divide it. So your answer will be negative 3.67%. So that's the last, or that's the answer of the price elasticity of supply. Since it's negative 3.67%, so it's inelastic, means it is less than 0 or lower to 0. So if positive, so it's elastic. If equal, it's unitary. So that's one of the rule in price elasticity of supply or demand. So that would be all. I hope you learned something from our short discussion. Thank you for listening, everyone.
So that was a great discussion. So thank you once again. So in your handouts or PDF file, we have activities. So kindly read those activities. Total of 7 items only. So do a problem solving. So let's proceed back to our discussion. So this one, so I will just require to answer 4 items. So I would like to say thank you and share Bible verse from the book of Mark, chapter 9, verse 23. So Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. So thank you everyone and God bless.